He's communicating respect non-verbally, finding friendly eyes near the front and the center. Say your name.
Hi, I'm Pauline.
Hi, Pauline.
Okay. Happiness is the meaning and the purpose of life, the whole aim and end of human existence. Isn't it hard not to agree with that quote from Aristotle? Today, I want to talk to you about my personal commitment, which is being happy. I'll give you 2 reasons for why I'm personally committed to being happy, and 3 actions I've taken in order to achieve that goal. I know you'll be interested in that topic because what's more universal than seeking happiness? Everyone wants to be happy, and I heard that the pursuit of happiness was even written down in the American Constitution. But I have more compelling reasons to try to be happy, which is what I'm going to talk to you about right now. The first reason I have for being personally committed to be happy has to do with my dad. Because my dad wasn't happy. In fact, he suffered from depression, and I've watched him falling to pieces for 5 long years, that ended up with a bad day in September when I came home and found a cop and a doctor in my living room and was told that my dad had shot himself. I was 14 at the time, and the pain I felt was only as great as the anxiety I experienced for my family, because I had a little brother who was 11 at the time, and my mom. So I felt sadness for them. I thought I had to be happy for them, and that would be the first reason. It's just finding out that unhappiness can actually kill you is a pretty compelling reason to being personally committed to being happy. The second reason that I have for being personally committed to being happy is that I had to struggle with some kind of depression myself when I was 17. I moved to Paris, and my family was still living in Argentina, because that's where I spent my high school years. And the academic calendar is kind of different in the Southern Hemisphere, so I graduated 6 months earlier than my fellow French students, the other ones. So I was in Paris, everyone else was still in high school, I wasn't. I was pretty lonely, and till then, being happy never cost me any kind of effort, but during those months I was sad all the time and didn't want to do anything, and I had morbid thoughts, like, if I fall in the shower cabin and crack my head open, how long till someone finds me? Happy days. So that would be my second reason, is that I found out that I wasn't protected from the possibility of depression myself, and that being happy was actually a commitment that I really wanted to pursue, you know. So now that I've given you those 2 reasons, I'm going to share with you 3 actions that I've taken to achieve that goal. First, I rely a lot on my family. Since what happened to my dad, it really brought us together, me and my brother, and my mom too. So I know that I can count on them if I have a problem. My mom is like the voice of reason, and my brother is really funny, so we're all pretty close. And they're like this big pillar in my life that's helping me being happy every day. And the second action that I performed was that when I got into that school, I studied for the exam for all those months. I made friends that are everything to me, because during those months of isolation in Paris, before that, I realized how friendships are important to keep you happy. I also met some great people here at UCLA. And the third action I performed is that I know that to be happy, it's good to be able to express yourself correctly, to be a little outspoken, and I used to be quite introverted. So here at UCLA, I'm taking classes to help me be more outspoken, such as this one, and a theater class that's really, really cool too. In summary, and when I performed all those actions, I felt really better. Really good. In summary, I've shown you 2 reasons and 3 actions that show how personally committed I am to being happy. There should be no doubt in this room that I really am personally committed to being happy, and because, as Aristotle put it more than 2,000 years ago, it is really the whole aim and end of human existence. Thank you.
441. Alright, let's start on this side today in the back. No, let's start in the front. We always start in the back.
Hi, I'm Rachel Leah.
Hi, Rachel Leah.
Colleen, I think this was your best speech so far. You were really, really well prepared, and you spoke very fluently the entire time. I think you had really natural pauses, natural inflections, and the stories you shared were really personal, and I really admire that because I know that's really hard getting up in front of a group and sharing that, and you did it with great composure. So nice job. Thank you.
Thank you. Improvement?
Yeah, I really appreciated the stories.
Start with your
Oh,
name.
I'm Olivia.
Hi, Olivia.
I appreciated the stories too. I think you had time left over, so my improvement would be I think you could have taken a breath and told a little bit more detail because I think everyone would have been willing to hear a little bit more.
Yeah, you could have taken another 30 seconds if you needed it or wanted it, but it was a pretty good speech.
Actually, I saw you doing that.
That's half.
I thought that was 0.
That's half.
So I really sped up because I thought I was going to be
No,
overtime.
this is half.
I was overtime when I practiced.
No, this is half.
Okay,
So,
good to know.
sorry about the miscommunication. It's my fault.
Okay.
Wait, half isn't half time or 30 seconds till 5 minutes? At least
This is 30 seconds till 5:15.
Oh.
Alright, so back to reality. You started with Aristotle. You can never go wrong with Aristotle. Bright man. Had a truism about life, which is most people want to be happy. And I think that this may have suffered a little from some vagueness in terms of defining the concept and saying a little bit more specifically what you meant. But I think we all kind of got the gist of what you were talking about, and so that was good. I like the way in your significant statement you related it to the American Constitution, so that was good audience analysis. So let's talk about your personal commitment in the first story you told, which was about your dad's tragic suicide. That was what I meant by sharing something very personal and private with the group. That was a beautiful example of being authentic and sharing something real from your past. And I'm sorry it had to happen to you. And your reaction to it was to say that I have a responsibility not to go down the same path and to be happy. On your second reason for being happy, you talked about being in Paris alone and being sad, and having been in Paris alone and not been sad, I couldn't imagine that really, but I guess some people could be in Paris alone and be sad. I guess it's possible. And then you talked about your evolution, and you came out of that, and yet you shared with us yet another private thought about cracking your head, as you put it, in the shower cabin, which is an interesting phrase for the shower. And you shared with us that you have a proclivity for depression, and it's something you'll want to monitor, and so that was good. On your actions that you've taken, you talk about counting on your family, about counting on friendships you've made in Paris and here at UCLA, and you've talked about taking classes that help you get out of your shell, and I thought that was all good. Your summary, your conclusion, and tieback were all good. You wanted to have frequent vocal pauses, vary the tone of your voice, and move 3 times. How'd it go?
I think I moved 3 times. I think there weren't as much vocalized pauses because I went pretty fast. And yeah, the vary the tone, I'm not sure that went pretty well. I don't know.
You can continue working on that, but I think you got the gist of the assignment of sharing something personal and being authentic while you did it, and still communicating emotion. The one little quibble I have was you only gave your feelings one sentence, and I'd like 2 or 3. You could have given that more to reconnect with your audience on an emotional level. But you did a nice job, Pauline. Thank you.
Sorry, could you clarify your hand? Gestures then? Because
Yeah.
I'm really confused.
4, 3, 2, 1. Half, and this means 30 seconds till 5:15.
Till 5:15.
This means your time's up
At 5:15.
at 5:15.
Oh, okay. Not 5.
Okay, moving on is Sojanio here. Tiffany Tormazzi. He dropped. Okay. Perfect. More time for you. Okay. Demont. Everyone sign the roll sheet. Yeah, good. Your goals are here on the back. Okay. She's reading. She's reading. Good.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Demont Post.
Hi, Demont.
Everyone has always heard the saying, the grass is always greener on the other side. Well, I hope that's true. For me, I come from an area where not everything is perfect. People walk around their daily lives not really doing much. Education is not really that enthusiastic. People don't care, as I thought. It's things like robberies, you hear gunshots, helicopters all around your neighborhood that make you question what you're doing with your life. I came here to tell you my personal commitment to being educated, to getting an education. I chose the personal commitment to get an education because I know with education comes success. I see a lot of people around my neighborhood not giving a care about education. But the first reason I want to tell you why I want to get an education, why it should matter is because we're all here getting an education together. Clearly we want the same thing. So, the first reason I want to explain with you guys of why I want an education is because like I said, I see what not having an education can do for you. I noticed that I have friends, close friends, that got, maybe you can say, washed up in the system. They didn't really do much. It can be as simple as hanging out on the side of on the street where police thinks they're going to be gangbanging. Take you to jail, fingerprint you, and now you have a record. Little things like that is why I feel like I need to get an education. The second reason why I feel like I need to get an education is because I noticed that my family is not comfortable. I noticed that with the education, I can have the potential to move my family elsewhere, like Beverly Hills, instead of living in Compton. You know? So that's the second reason why I want to get an education, because my family is not comfortable. I made also 3 steps to trying to get an education. My first steps was becoming president of my senior class and graduating with high honors. I did this because I wanted to prove not only to myself, but to my family and my community that I had what it took to be competitively eligible for college. My second step was not only getting into UCLA, but being also able to continue my journey at UCLA. My third step was enrolling into a study abroad program where I'll be able to go to Italy and expand my academic journey. With these 3 steps, I plan to get a degree. I plan to be able to be successful and to be able to meet all my goals. I understand that a degree doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to have a lot of money, that you're going to be comfortable where you're at. But I also know that education is something that no one can take from you. Education is something that no one can take from you. In summary, I have told you 2 reasons why I want to be educated and why I need to be educated, and 3 actions that I have taken to become educated. In conclusion, I can say that education is clearly my means to become successful, and that there should be no doubt in everyone's mind that I am determined to be educated. And I also, hopefully, would like to see the grass that is greener on the other side. And that is it.
Thank you. 3:47.
Well, I had a lot of time left.
A lot of time left. Okay, we're somewhere.
Hi, I'm Blake.
Hi, Blake.
I liked your speech because it was personal and we really got a feel of how you feel about it. And I think it was fluid. And yeah, it was good.
I really like the honesty and.
Start with your name.
I'm Julia.
Hi, Julia.
I like the honesty in your speech too, and what Blake said. I agree. For improvement, maybe for your reasons, just expanding on like why they compelled you to commit what you're committed to, but they were really honest reasons.
Thank you.
Yeah. Come on, I liked your speech. I like the impulse of it. You started with I don't know, a cliche, a poem, an expression, a truism. The grass is always greener on the other side. And you tied back to that, so you understood the concept of the bookends. So that was good. You had a thesis preview. You told us what you were going to tell us, and you had kind of a intro that described life where you live is not exactly pleasant. So you immediately drew a word picture for us of not being a great place that respects education, helicopters, guns going off, crime, and so forth. And so you set up that contrast immediately. So that was excellent. So that was good. Your significant statement was good. On your first reason why is that you want to be wealthy and successful. You wanted to change the dynamics of your neighborhood and do something about that. I was looking for a story at that point, more of a story at that moment that you would tell and fill in, and you had plenty of time to tell the story there. That's where you get the story. And then you said the second reason was to be able to create Avenue, who's been caught up into government antics, and you sort of left people hanging out on street corners and that sort of thing, and you want to be able to give people a second chance, and that was good. And I think if you had made that into more of a story as opposed to just descriptive exposition, that would have been good. On your actions, you finished high school being president with high honors. That's good. That shows you have the self-discipline to delay self-gratification until you do your work, which is the mark of a successful person. They can delay gratification, you know. On the second step, you got into UCLA, you remained here. That's to be commended. And then the study abroad, you've heard me talk about that. It's an excellent thing to do. So those are all consistent with your personal commitment. And then you summarize, conclude, and tie back. I just would have, what I would have liked to have seen in the speech is more stories drawn out, and just a little bit more. You talked about some people in the neighborhood. Maybe you can say, my friend Johnny went to prison or something, and my best friend Johnny went to prison or something. Something that really would flesh it out and tell a good story, and make it become real for us. Would have been helpful. But other than that, and you did tie back, it was a little short, but you did a nice job. Thank you. Oh wait, let's go over your goals. You said stop moving so much, no ums or likes, and good eye contact. You think you did better on those?
I think good eye contact, but I was still moving like a lot.
You saw yourself on the tape moving a lot, huh? Yeah. Okay, thank you. That brings us to Nina. This round's for Nina. The Nina de Santa Maria. How you doing, Nina?
My goals are on the back of the fish.
On the back of the list?
Yeah.
Okay. On the back, there they are. No jacket to fidget with, huh? That's a wise decision. Okay. Okay. Okay, that looks pretty good.
Okay. I'm Nina.
Hi, Nina.
I will always remember bottle feeding tiger cubs in Thailand and baby sloths in Costa Rica. I've walked through a forest in Australia that was pitch black with glowworms where I couldn't tell where the ground stopped and the star-filled sky started. I've seen some of the most beautiful paintings in the world and most exotic animals and amazing monuments made by men. So that's why today I want to share with you my personal commitment to traveling. I will tell you 2 reasons that I'm personally committed to traveling and 3 actions I've taken to demonstrate this commitment. So far I've been to 25 countries and I'd love to see more. I think that we have such an opportunity and we're capable of seeing the world, so why not see as much of it while we have time here? Alright, the first reason I am personally committed to traveling is because I was raised by a family that prioritizes traveling. Every Christmas and summer we would go abroad, and at first I used to long to stay at home for Christmas, but I slowly began to appreciate it. My brother and sister, or half-brother and sister, live in Germany, so it was really important for my father to be able to visit them. So we would go to Germany, pick them up, and travel from there, or meet them in another country. My parents also emphasized how important it was to learn through experience, and I think that's really benefited me because I've seen historical landmarks and natural feats of nature that normally most people read about in books. The second reason I'm personally committed to traveling is because of how much I missed it when I was sick and prohibited from traveling. I longed to wake up in a hotel on Christmas Day and open presents in a foreign country, but instead I had to do it at home. And my favorite thing, I realized that these were the memories that stuck with me the most and that I enjoyed reminiscing or looking through photo albums. I also loved to get wheeled out onto West Cliff, which was in Santa Cruz, where I would watch at night the lights reflect on the water. And for some reason, this visual reminded me of Australia's Gold Coast on New Year's Eve, or New Zealand's harbour, or the city lights on the Seine in Paris. So now I'll tell you 3 reasons. These images transported me back to happier times and faraway places, and I vowed that I would make many more memories like this when I was done. The 3 actions I've taken begin with when I was done with my treatment, only 2 months afterwards, I went to Ireland with my sister. I had a knee replacement, and because my muscle was really atrophied, I didn't have very much muscle in it, and it was pretty hard to walk. But I still carried around my backpack and went from hostel to hostel. I even went on this huge hike that was completely uphill and downhill. And for anyone with a knee replacement, that is a nightmare. But I did it. It took me the entire day. But by the time I got back, I was so proud of myself. And all the people who had passed me on the hike gave me a high five at the hotel bar. The second action I've taken is I continue to travel with my family, even though I'm past the age where I'm obligated to go on these trips. Just last year, we went to Prague and Germany and then the Grand Canyon, which I'd never seen. The third action I've taken to demonstrate my commitment to traveling is I'm studying abroad next quarter in Berlin, and I really look forward to being closer to my brother and, yeah, studying. So when I followed through with these actions, it made me feel really proud, independent, and adventurous. Thanks to my parents and my love for traveling, I've lived a pretty exciting life, and these are the memories I know that will stay with me when my life comes more to a close. In summary, I have told you 2 reasons that I'm personally committed to traveling and 3 actions I have taken to demonstrate this commitment. There should be no doubt in anyone's mind that I'm personally committed to traveling. I wouldn't trade my memories of plucking fat leeches off of my ankles and belly in humid jungles or watching a volcano erupt while I'm climbing on it. These are memories I would trade for anything. Thank you.
Thank you. 436.
Hi, I'm Eunice.
Hi, Eunice.
I'm talking.
Okay, go ahead.
I really like the word choice you used, especially the imagery in your introduction. It really lets us see how passionate you are about your commitment to traveling. So I think you did really well on that part.
Okay, let's go here.
Hi, I'm Nicole.
Hi, Nicole.
Yeah, I really liked your speech and stuff. I think you could have moved a little more effectively because it kind of, you moved at some key points, but then sometimes you just move in the middle and it didn't hurt your speech, but it didn't really help it either. So I think just making it more focused and purposeful.
Okay, thank you for that. Nina, let's talk about your speech. I too thought your word pictures were captivating. They really took us to these places you've been. You have a gift for describing the places and brought us there, and that was nice. You talked about going to 25 countries and that your personal commitment was to traveling. You talked, your first reason was you talked about how you learned about it through your family and traveling with your brother, and that you traveled all over and so forth. And even as a child, you've just been doing this the whole time. So you got used to it, I guess. Just ingrained in you. Your second reason was you told the story of when you were sick, when you couldn't travel, and yet you wanted to be wheeled out into the West Cliff and Santa Cruz, and it reminded you of Australia and the Seine in Paris and so forth. So those were good memories and a good vision of your commitment to travel, I think. On your actions, I think the fact that you went so quickly back to traveling to Ireland after your operation, or whatever you want to call it, was good evidence of your commitment to traveling. And then still traveling with your family, even though it's not politically correct to do when you're older, is good. And going abroad, that's good. So those were all good actions, and you spent a lot of time on your feelings about that. Summary, conclusion, and tieback were all done by the book. The one thing I would say is I just would have liked to have had just something a little bit more personal or revealing in this, but you did the speech by the book, and it was well done. We clearly are convinced you're personally committed to traveling, so that was good. Thank you. Okay, that brings us to... Where are your goals? Oh, here are your goals. I apologize. Fake it until you make it, yeah. Okay, that was Nina, right? Nina. So that brings us to Melody.
Not here.
She dropped? What a pity. That brings us to Elaine Harris.
Not here. Not this class.
Excellent. This is going to be a short class. That brings us to Lauren. She dropped. Okay, we lost Lauren too. Hi Lauren, how you doing?
Doing good.
That's good. You have your goals here somewhere?
I do, they're on the back page.
Back of what?
Last page on the bottom.
Oh, I see. Someone's sick.
Hi, I'm Lauren.
Hi, Lauren.
Alright, so if I could ask you all to describe the current political situation in Ukraine right now, or the consequences of net neutrality, or even who is responsible for the suicide bombings at a boys' high school in Nigeria last week, would you be able to answer correctly? But on the other hand, if I were to ask you about Kim Kardashian's latest magazine cover, would you be able to answer that more easily?
Mm-hmm.
Today I'd like to share with you all my personal commitment to staying informed on current events in our globe and around our nation. I am going to give you 2 reasons why I'm personally committed to this, and 3 actions I've taken to demonstrate my commitment. I know you will all relate to my personal commitment because this is something that will affect each and every one of us at some point in our lives. The first reason why I'm committed to this is because I had always prioritized making sure I knew what was happening in the world until I came to college. Back home, I would wake up and my family and I would sit at our breakfast table and we would share different sections of the newspaper after reading them and talk about what's happening. And then my dad and I would drive to school and we'd be sitting in silence and just listening to NPR. And then I always, and I mean always, had an argument against my extremely bigoted government teacher, Mr. Grewell. It was something I felt comfortable and interested in talking to others about, and I knew I could offer a semi-educated opinion. But since I've come to college, instead of spending the free time that I do have on getting myself caught up on what kind of bigger things aside from my little life, I go to social media to kind of just waste my time. So pretty much I've done this transition between high school and now that I'm really trying hard on reversing. The second reason why I'm personally committed to this is something I think a lot of us underestimate, which is that our voices and our opinions are going to define our next generation and our future. I think a lot of the times we take for granted our education, that not many people have this opportunity, and we are here and we can have valuable and informed opinions, and I think we should all take advantage of that, especially since not many people get to. And it kind of brings me to, it reminds me of, I don't know if you've seen it, it's this Jimmy Kimmel, I guess I would call it an experiment, where he goes to Hollywood Boulevard and asks Americans who Joe Biden is. And their answers range from a terrorist group to an actor in Pineapple Express, which is terrifying. I think a lot of the times we view government and the things that are happening in the world as so far beyond us that we feel like our opinions and our voices don't matter, and so we don't feel the responsibility to inform ourselves. With that being said, as voters, we are all representatives of our country, and I think it's really important that we're able to inform ourselves for literally the sake of our future. For my first action that I've taken, I have decided, since I am admittedly on Twitter way too much, to start following like CNN and Los Angeles Times, so I'm able to see the headlines for the day even if I'm not able to make it to a newspaper. The second action I've taken is I've subscribed to the Skim. For those of you who don't know what that is, it's this newsletter that's given every other day or so emailed to you, and it kind of breaks down and simplifies some of the huge world events that are going on. So even though I am just getting the skim of and the gist of what's happening, I'm able to see, and then it links to other related articles, which is really great. And the third action I took was actually happened 3 Tuesdays ago when I went to pick up the kid I babysat at his elementary school, and we made a compromise that I would give him the sticker if he let me and waited around for me to vote. So, for the first time, I was able to vote in this last midterm elections, and I was really excited and proud about that. by taking these actions, I feel like I'm a relevant part of society, not just a bystander here on the ride. So I've shown you explained to you 2 reasons why I'm personally committed to staying informed, and 3 actions I've taken to demonstrate my commitment. For those of you who don't know what's happening in Ukraine, or have no idea what net neutrality even means, and have never heard of the Boko Haram, then I would encourage you all to make the little actions similar to the ones I've taken to inform yourself so you can be an informed collegiate, just as I think we all deserve to be.
Hi, I'm Angelica.
Hi, Angelica.
I really like your like speech presence. You have a very calm and confident voice, and so like it really builds up your credibility. And it's like really interesting to listen to.
That was 5:03, by the way.
Hi, I'm Karen.
Hi, Karen.
So I thought it was a very good speech. I love your topic. I'm so passionate about social justice and like being up to date about everything, so loved it. And I like the part where you mentioned the skin, which I think everyone should subscribe to. But I would say that you've been using some vocalized pauses, not a lot, but just some that I've noticed. And lastly, I think like because we have we have the 2 reasons and the 3 actions, we kind of like don't know when to move, so maybe think more purposefully about when you should.
Yeah, that's a good point. And you shouldn't be paralyzed into not moving. You can break it up. You can move early. You can move first reason, second reason, and then third reason for your actions and back at the center. Let's talk about your speech, Lauren. I liked your opening questions. They were all topics that we had last weekend from the UCLA debate team that we debated. So we actually do have a Facebook group called UCLA Speech and Debate. So if you want to read, we put up articles every day from all around the world. So if you want to join, you can read up on articles from around the world and get your news that way, and good, bright discussion. But those were good questions, and people should know about those things because net neutrality is going to affect everybody if Obama's proposal goes through and so forth. So you ask a series of rhetorical questions as your starting point. I'd like to see you use something different for your final persuasive speech rather than a rhetorical question. And they're so for grabbing people, you know. That was okay. Your 6th statement was good. Your first reason was you gave a very personal story about a home very much like the home I had. My father was a professor, and we talked about the newspaper and what went on and what is going on in the world, and everyone was expected to talk and contribute. Now, I don't know anybody that sits around the dinner table anymore as a family and talks about the daily news, sadly enough. And I liked your story about Mr. Gruwell and how you argued with him, and that was instructive in sort of how you felt about current events, and you're still interested in them. Where I would have liked to have had a little bit more storytelling was on your second reason. You told us that essentially the masses are asses, and the reason in the evidence you gave was Jimmy Kimmel interviewing people and showing how dumb people really are, and he picks the dumbest and shows them stupid. Jay Leno used to do a similar thing on his show where people are just frighteningly stupid about certain things. I more, though, would have liked to have had something more personal from you about that rather than the masses are asses, but okay, I got what I got. On your actions, you say that you're starting to read CNN, BBC, LA Times. That's good. I mentioned the UCLA Speech and Debate group that you can join through Facebook. The skim is good, but again, everyone needs to realize that you have to hit the link and read more if you're going to go past the superficial, you know. And then the voting was very good. Your summary, your conclusion, and tie back were all good. Let's see what your goals were. Watch the body language, use more time, and don't rush. How'd it go?
I think it went well. Sometimes when I practice, I'm way over time, and then I'll just speed through. So I'm glad I hit the 5-minute mark this time.
Yeah.
And what was the other?
You said
body language. I think was a little better. I'm a very handsy talker, I guess. I don't know how to describe it, but yeah.
You think excessive hands?
Just regular life I do.
Well, did you notice that on YouTube that you were doing a lot of this? You did.
Yeah. I sway like a kinesthetic learner apparently.
Okay, well, Tai Chi is good for that.
I'll work on it.
So you're aware of what your body's doing while you're talking. A lot of people aren't aware they're swaying.
Yeah.
Until they see it. That's why I videotape. Okay, you did a nice job, Lauren. Thank you. Okay, let's move on to Blake Edwards. Hi, Blake.
Hi.
You're from Lake Como, huh?
It's a camp.
Oh, it's a camp, huh? Great. Are your goals somewhere handy?
Yeah, they're at the bottom of the...
There they are. How's that old battery? It's doing great. Yeah, we're doing fine. Wait a minute, let me get the thumbprint down. Okay. Okay, he's texting.
Hi, I'm Blake.
Hi, Blake.
Okay. Most of the time when making a big life decisions, many people, and especially young people, like to overthink the matter and try to figure out every possible pro and con, which usually leaves us even more confused. Although I do think that thinking through big decisions is important, I also really believe that the ultimate deciding factor really should be your ultimate happiness. So today I want to share with you my personal commitment to make decisions solely based off happiness. I will tell you 2 reasons why I'm personally committed to doing what makes me happy and 3 ways in which I have shown my personal commitment. The first reason that I am personally committed to do what makes me happy is because of a really random conversation I once had with a stranger on the beach. This man may have been a little drunk at the time, and me and my friends were pretty much hanging out at night and talking about a problem I was having, and he coincidentally solved my problems without even knowing what we were talking about. I don't really know what he was saying or why he was talking to us, but he pretty much told us that the secret to life is to forget everything else and just really do what makes you happy. This might sound absurd, but I really have never forgotten what he said to us, and it really did stick in my mind, so I think he might have been right. The second reason that I am personally committed to doing what makes me happy is because I never want to look back on my life and wonder, like, what if? I always have wanted to be in the film industry, and even though I know it's not like a really solid career, I always have to think about the consequences of maybe I have to live in only certain areas, and I might not have a very solid job later in life, but I would probably always wonder what if I stuck with my passion. So by being personally committed to this topic, I think that it'll help me be more confident in my life choices and help me move on. So third, the 3 ways that I have shown my personal commitment. The first way I've shown my personal commitment is that I worry a little less about spending money. Although I'm still very conscious about how much money I spend, I now think through the idea and ask myself, if it really makes me happy, is it worth it? So I have decided to go on a big snowboarding trip in December because I've decided that it really will make me happy and I will remember it forever. The second action I've taken to show that I am personally committed to this topic is that when making a big decision, I ask myself more if it'll make me happy, and I don't worry about what other people will think about it. So this has really helped me in the little day-to-day decisions and also bigger life decisions, because if I think it'll make me happier, I'll do it anyways and just not really worry about how other people are going to react to it. The third action I have taken to being personally committed to doing what makes me happy is that I have decided to continue my career path in the film industry and even apply to some film programs, even if it means that I have to maybe move again, because I know that in the long run, that is what is going to make me the happiest. Performing these actions has really helped me to feel content and relieved with my decisions, because I no longer have to doubt myself and wonder what are the pros and cons and really overthink the matter, because I know that if it's going to make me happy, it's the right decision. So in summary, I have told you 2 reasons that I am personally committed to doing what makes me happy, and 3 actions that I have taken to show my personal commitment to this topic. There should be no doubt in this room that I am personally committed to doing what makes me happy. Yeah, so the only decision that I have really doubted so far are the ones that I've decided on using only rational thinking alone and haven't thought about my happiness. And the truth is that we really only have one life to live, so why not make it the happiest one?
Thank you. That was 412. Thank you for respectfully waiting outside. We're somewhere over here.
Hi everyone, my name is Miriam.
Hi, Miriam.
I liked your speech. I liked what you talked about. I thought it was something that we could all relate to, and I really, I felt like your stories were more effective because you gave detail, and I like how you also added humor to your story.
Improvement.
Hi, I'm Angela.
Hi, Angela.
Okay, I like your speech and you're very fluent, but you could slow down in speaking and then make more connection with your audience.
Yeah, that was one of your goals. Let's start with that, Blake. You were really flying today.
I slowed it down halfway through.
Did you have coffee for breakfast? You could have taken a whole nother minute.
Yeah, it took me that long when I actually went slow on it, but
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, well, let's talk about your speech and talk about where you would want to expand and have more stuff in it. I don't know how to categorize your intro. What would you categorize it? Would it be a poem, a quote, a story, a joke?
I think I forgot one sentence that kind of tied it to the end there.
Yeah.
I don't know why. Yeah.
So it was sort of like an observational story. Is that kind of what you were trying to get at? Essentially what you were trying to do is saying that, you know, what you really need to begin doing is filtering your decisions through the happiness paradigm and saying, is this going to make me happy? And so that's what you were personally committed to. I didn't hear much of the selling this to the audience in the significant statement to why people should care about this. So
yep, I forgot that part too. That's in there. Just
yeah, I know. Yeah, I just wrote skipped. You know, but you know that'll come with practicing with a person who will tell you, not just a mirror. On your first reason, or what I would hope to be your first story, you told us about a beachcomber that was drunk on the beach that you were talking to late at night in somewhat of a drunken stupor, who it became very good and heavy and meaningful, and he made a lot of sense, and he said, forget the rest, but just do what makes you happy. And of all the words and all the things that stuck with you, that stuck with you, and it made a lot of sense then, and it makes a lot of sense now. That was a good story, and that gave us some insight into you and to why you have this personal commitment. So that was good storytelling. Now, your second reason why you're personally committed to acting this way was you said, I don't want to live my life with the what if question. And you talked about working in the film industry, and then you kind of, I don't know, talked about, I guess, maybe taking other jobs outside the film industry or doing something else, and should you or shouldn't you? Should you follow your passion or shouldn't you? I didn't get much of a story out of it, much more than just that you're ambivalent and that you're toward or about that. But I didn't really get how we finally came out of that and you decided to finally come down in favor of what's going to make me happy. So I didn't get that out of that, all those words. Finally, on your actions. Your first action was, I spend money to make me happy, and God bless you. I'm happy that you have the money and you can spend it and go snowboarding in December and enjoy yourself and have a happy time. That's consistent, and there are people that don't do this, that are saving up for when they retire or whatever, and then they're too crickety to go snowboarding when they retire, and so doesn't work out. Your second action was screw everybody else. I'm going to live my life. I'm not going to worry about what other people think so much. Right? I'm just going to, and that's a pretty good philosophy. I would just caution you, I've had some pretty good mentors and good advice over the years from pretty smart people, but still, if you live your life every day worrying about what everybody thinks, it can be very debilitating. The third thing was you came back then to the film industry and said that you're going to just go back to that and go back to your passion. Your summary, your conclusion, and tie back were all fine. You said you wanted to have strong eye contact, use all the time, and talk slowly. How'd it go?
The last two not great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, but you got the job done. Thank you. Okay, that brings us to Karen.
I needed to pee, but that's okay.
You what?
Here you go.
Thank you. How's the battery going?
It's good. We have half.
We'll make it. We'll make it. Yeah. I have faith in that battery. It's fully charged. Let me get my thumb cramp down. Okay, he's doing something. Okay.
Hi, I'm Karen.
Hi, Karen.
So does anyone know someone who has used the counseling and psychological services here at UCLA called CAPS? Okay. Alright. Well, keeping in mind that we have a 40% Asian American population on campus, it is a stark statistic that suicide is the second leading cause of death for Asian Americans. So today I want to share with you my personal commitment to erasing the stigma of mental illness, particularly for the Asian American and Pacific Islander community. So I'm going to share with you 2 stories, 2 reasons why I am committed, and 3 actions that I have taken to demonstrate this. People in the AAPI community, which is the abbreviation, they are often taught not to stand out and not to talk about their problems. And because of this, they're less likely to seek treatment when they need to. So my first reason why I'm personally committed to erasing the stigma of mental illness is because I also went through something myself. I suffered through depression in high school, and I didn't tell my parents about it for at least a year. And I didn't feel like I could turn to anybody. I didn't feel like there was anybody who would understand me. But I realized, along with my parents, when I cried almost every day, that I needed therapy and I needed help. So with the therapy, I've been able to become a much stronger person, and now I'm able to be here today and stand before you. So the second reason why I am personally committed to erasing the stigma of mental illness, particularly for Asian Americans, is that I saw my dad fall apart when his mother, which was my grandmother, suffered through Alzheimer's disease. And he always felt like it was his duty to take care of his parents. He didn't want to pay money to have some stranger take care of them. But we realized that she couldn't even remember to come home anymore. She got lost in Long Beach, she got lost in downtown, and it was no longer safe for her to live by herself. So we found a memory care facility for her that was close to us, and now we don't have to worry about that. And I really want to stress the importance of mental health services for the old, the young, college students, even us. Okay, so now I'm going to share with you 3 actions that I've taken in order to be personally committed to this cause. The first action that I've done is that I've started my own UCLA radio show devoted to Asian American Pacific Islander identity, issues, community, and news. And through there, I've been able to have guests come on and talk about everything that we should talk about, especially mental health. For example, I had my TA come onto my show, and we talked about how the immigrant experience, or being, trying to acculturate to the American society, that there's a lot of stress there, and there may be mental illnesses that may come from it. Yes, so that was my first one, and I really believe in giving a voice to these invisible issues. So the second action that I've made is that I'm currently taking a class on Asian American personality and mental health, and that class has really shaped the ideas that I now have, and that I've been able to, even though, yes, I've struggled through it firsthand, now I have a better sense of why there's this problem, so that we'd be able to find these solutions. So the third action that I've taken is that what I actually did today is that I spoke about my depression, because it is a way of destigmatizing mental illness just by talking about it. And as an Asian American, I think that there's even more of an impact because we are silenced so often in our community. So in summary, I've shared with you my personal commitment to erasing the stigma of mental illness for especially Asian American communities. And I've shared 2 reasons why and 3 actions. And so through my depression and my grandmother's Alzheimer's disease, I've been able to start a radio show, share my story, and take a class on it. And there should be no doubt in this room that I am personally committed to this need for mental health services for Asian Americans. And I really wish for a day where we'll go to our therapist's office just like any other dental appointment without any judgment from other people. And I highly encourage you all to visit CAPS at UCLA. Thank you.
.457. Thank you for respectfully waiting outside. Somewhere over here.
Hi, Josh.
Hi, Josh.
It was really personal. I liked it. It sucks that you have to go through depression and all the family issues, but I felt that emotional connection, and it made your story just much more relatable and
Sticky.
Yeah.
Let's go to the back row. You 2 were outside, right? Okay, let's go here. Improvement?
Hi, I'm Thomas.
Hi, Thomas.
I'd say if anything for improvement, I liked your speech. I thought it was personal. But maybe for your movements, I think just making them, I guess, more coordinated, like with what are more purposeful is better. Yeah. With what you're talking about.
Okay, that's a good suggestion. how you do that. So in your main body, work side glance there, here, glance there, and then back to center. Okay, Karen. Yeah, this was the kind of speech that I was after with when I thought up this assignment, was some sort of a combination of disclosing something personal and private about yourself, and yet something you're personally committed to. So let's talk about your speech. Well, you ask a rhetorical question, and I'm not so certain. I'm not a big fan of rhetorical questions. I'm sure you've figured that out by now. This rhetorical question in particular, I think, is difficult because it's asked, how many of you have gone to a shrink? And
I asked if anyone knows someone.
Yeah, or who knows someone who used counseling and psychological services. So that was a little better. But I think there's still a little. I think there's still a little stigma there to it, and I just think you want to be careful about that. I'm just not a big fan of rhetorical questions. And then you gave a very stark statistic about suicide being a leading cause of death of Asian Americans 15 to 34, second leading cause of death. So that was a grabber. So you did draw all of our attention. So that was effective. Now your personal commitment to belong to these two communities, and then you abbreviated AAPI. I'm not so sure about that. I guess it's a tongue twister to say Asian American Pacific Islanders, but I guess that's a politically correct way to do it. And I thought, let me say something about your significance statement. You said people in these communities are told not to talk about their personal problems and stand up. As a consequence, they are less likely to seek treatment than others. Remember, a significance statement is designed to sell your speech to the audience. And I don't think that really sold it. I think you want to say something more like, I know you'll be interested in this speech because there's a stigma in the Asian community, and there's probably a stigma in every community that, there's this old Wild West. If you've got a problem, you just get up in the morning and go to work. And don't whine. Get through it, On your main body, I thought this was your most powerful story, and you took the most courageous, and thank you for trusting us enough to tell us that you suffered through depression. And you told us the story of how you suffered alone for a year until you cried, until you finally were able to share with your mother and your parents that you were hurting, that you got the therapy that helped you, and you were able to get back on your feet and to live a somewhat normal life. And thank you for that. That was exactly what I was looking for in this personal commitment speech. That was very powerful, and I hope you felt authentic, did you? Because that's a moment when you're really yourself, when you can say, yes, I've sought psychological counseling. What of it? Right? Big deal. So then your second reason, here I got lost a little bit in your words. You talked about your grandmother and your father and his relationship to her and her having Alzheimer's. I lost your link about your personal connection to your personal commitment in all that dad and grandmother stuff, and I wish you had somehow linked it back to your own personal commitment a little bit more effectively. I know it was in there, but I lost it a little. On your actions, they were excellent. You have a radio show, and you have people on that talk about that. Excellent. Second action is you've taken a class. Excellent. And third action, you speak about it in front of people and destigmatize mental illness like you're doing in this class and share your experience with everyone. So that was good. And then you said, I feel empowered when I do these things, so that was good. Your summary, your conclusion, and tie back were all good. You said, I hope you'll all go visit whatever it's called. Is it CAP? CAPS. Counseling and so we got an abbreviation for. I hope you'll all go visit CAPS and that sort of thing. You said less vocalized pauses, less hand movement, and make balanced eye contact around the room. How'd it go?
I did use a few vocalized pauses. I think because I moved random times, because I didn't practice moving when I practiced the speech, that still is a work in progress. And then in terms of eye contact, I hope I went around the room and did that.
Okay. I think you did a super job, so thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, are there any more D's that I missed? Okay, our work is done for the day. Return with honor.